The UFL just dropped 6 new rule changes for their upcoming 2026 season that ended up catching my attention. So today I'm going to go through each one, give you my honest take, and then sort them into one of 3 categories. Rules that I think the NFL should copy, rules that I think that they shouldn't, and finally, a category for maybes. Let's get into it, starting with banning the tush push. I regret to inform all Eagles fans that the UFL has officially banned the brotherly shove. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to get into the whole debate on whether or not the tush push is or isn't a football play. I just want to focus on facts. On paper, I think that the tush push is fine if officiated correctly, but it's a fact that it is not. If you went back and watched the Eagles this past season, there were tons of examples where false starts or illegal formations were committed on tush push plays and nothing was called. NFL referees themselves have said that the play is hard to officiate because of how hard it is to see what's happening. And when you have a play that consistently puts officials in a position where they can't do their job, I think that the right call is obvious. Please don't kill me, Eagles fans, but if the play can't properly be officiated, it probably shouldn't exist. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you land on the issue, according to Adam Schefter, banning the tush push is already off the table for this offseason. I will reiterate again, if they can find a way to properly officiate it, I have no problem with the tush push. However, in its current state, I firmly believe that the NFL should copy this. Let's now move on to 4-point field goals. Any field goal over 60 yards is now worth 4 points instead of 3. And my first reaction when I saw this was that it felt a little bit gimmicky. There's a traditional old angry man part of my brain that hears 4-point field goal and immediately rejects it because it feels like it's touching something that's sacred. Also, I will admit I'm not very good at math, so the thought of figuring out how many 4-point field goal my team needs to win sounds like it's going to hurt my brain. But then I actually sat with it for a minute and started thinking about how this impacts late game situations. Right now, if you're down 4 with 30 seconds left and no timeouts, you obviously need a touchdown. Under this rule, your kicker could bail you out from 60 yards and tie the game, or potentially even win the game if you're down by 3. From a pure entertainment standpoint, a 60-yard field goal is already exciting, but adding even more drama by making it 4 points for 60 yards sounds like it could be electric. Now, my counter argument would be, do we really want to put more power in the hands of a kicker? I know kickers are players too, but as a Vikings fan who's been traumatized and victimized by kickers for pretty much my entire life, the thought of giving them more influence over the game kind of makes me pee my pants a little bit. Sorry to all you lovers of kickers out there, but I am going to put this into the no bucket. Now watch this throw. Before we get to the rest of the video, here's a quick word from today's sponsor. I have a friend who just flew somewhere last week and he told me that he waited at the rental counter for a car for 45 minutes. And it's absolutely shocking to me that people still rent a car like it's 2004 when we have Turo. Turo is the world's largest car rental marketplace, and they've been my preferred way to rent a car for a couple years now. And that's because they literally take all of the hassle out of the entire process. You can choose from a selection of over 1,600 makes and models, shared by a trusted community of hosts who list their cars on the platform. And Turo is available at over 140 airports across the US and Canada, so you can skip the rental counter the next time you fly. When you get off the plane, you'll have instructions on where the car is parked on the Turo app. You'll pick your car up at a designated airport parking lot, garage, or even curbside. You just walk to the car and go. The last time that I rented from Turo, they even came and picked up the car from me when my trip was over. Don't be one of those people who's stuck renting a car like it's 2004. You can check them out using the QR code or the link in my bio. Now back to the video. Next up, we have 1 foot in bounds for a catch. This one's been a hot topic for years. The NFL's required 2 feet in bounds for a catch since 1949, and since then, college football fans have argued that 1 foot in bounds makes for more exciting catches. As a lover of college football, I agree to some extent, but I think part of what makes the NFL is that there are differences between the pro and the college game that show that the standard is higher. When you watch a receiver drag both toes along the sideline and somehow stay in bounds, it's one of the most beautiful things in all of football. I mean, just look at that. If the elegance of a perfect toe tap doesn't tickle your pickle, I truly don't know what will. I would also argue that 2 feet in bounds makes big catches more exciting to me as a fan, because of that added layer of body control that's required to execute a perfect toe tap. We all recognize that the NFL can barely decide what is or isn't a catch on any given Sunday. Now imagine all of the confusion that NFL referees will have when 1 foot is only required for possession. I know, they already do this in college, but I can already see the NFL complicating what constitutes a football move after 1 foot down, and I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. As you probably guessed, this one's going into the no pile. Now let's take a look at no punting inside the 50. This one got my attention right away. The UFL's made it so that once your offense crosses the 50, you can no longer punt the ball. And my first thought when I heard that was, okay, what's to stop me from purposely losing yards so that I can get to the part of the field where I can punt? And it turns out that the UFL was already ready for a dummy like me to say that. Once the ball crosses the 50, it doesn't matter what happens after that, you are locked into not punting for that entire possession. On the surface, I like the thinking behind this. Forcing teams to be more aggressive and incentivizing points is something that we probably all want because we all love more points. Dean Blandino, the VP of officiating for the UFL, said that their own data showed that teams almost never punt from inside the 50 anyway, which is why they felt so comfortable making it a rule. And I think that I'm actually on the other side of that argument. If it almost never happens, what's the point of making it a rule in the first place? It kind of seems like you're creating a restriction for a situation that, like you said, almost never happens. And I can already think of a couple scenarios off the top of my head where you would probably want the option to punt. Just think if you're in a low-scoring bad weather game, you'd probably be put in a position where you have to decide, are you going to cross the 50 or not if your offense has been having trouble scoring that day? And I don't really like the thought process that in a situation like that, you would essentially be punished for crossing the 50, when normally in that kind of game, you should be rewarded with the option of a punt if you do end up crossing the 50. And for that reason, at least to me, I think that this one belongs in the no bucket. Now let's turn the page and look at the UFL's new overtime format. The UFL completely revamped their overtime, and it works kind of like penalty kicks in soccer. Team A would get one play from the 5-yard line, then Team B would also get one play from the 5-yard line, and that would be one round. They do that for 3 rounds, and whoever has more points at the end wins. Now, obviously, if a team falls far enough behind that they mathematically can't catch up, for example, if Team A scores in round 1 and round 2, and Team B doesn't score in either, Team B can't catch up and the game ends early. If the game is still tied after 3 rounds, they keep alternating one play at a time until someone can't match. I absolutely love this, and I think that the NFL needs to take a hard look at what they're doing for overtime during the regular season. Can anyone explain to me why it is that during the regular season, overtime is a 10-minute quarter? I have no idea what the logic is behind that. I know that they'll say that it's for player safety, but let's be real. If they truly cared about player safety, they never would have ever added an extra game to the regular season. And then I can't leave out that my favorite part about this entire thing is that there's no possibility for a tie. I've always firmly believed that ties have absolutely no place in professional football. Fans and players hate it, and I would imagine that coaches probably hate it more than fans and players combined. As far as entertainment goes, can you imagine how intense it would feel to go to overtime in this format in the playoffs? I am banging the table on this one that the NFL should 1000% copy this. Last up, we have the 3-point conversion. Instead of the standard kick for 1 or go for 2, teams in the UFL now have a third option. You can now go for it from the 8-yard line for 3 points. Like I said earlier, I'm not that great at math, but I do know that adding a 3-point conversion would now mean that a 1-score game is 9 points, which is pretty interesting. Scoring a 2-point conversion from the 2 is already hard as is, so I imagine scoring 3 from the 8 is going to be at least 2 times as hard, which probably means that we won't see this in the UFL regularly. But I am sure that all of the analytics guys out there that are way smarter than me will figure out the perfect situations of when you should go for 3. And if this were to make its way to the NFL, I can already see some psychopath like Dan Campbell saying screw the analytics and just going for 3 every time to see what happens. This one was tough for me because I do like more ways to score more points, but I'm going to throw this in the maybe pile. It's definitely intriguing, but I want to see how this plays out in the UFL before I commit one way or the other. Now, those are all of the rule changes that I'm going to cover in this video. There were a couple more rule changes, but those were rules that the UFL actually changed to match the NFL, so obviously I didn't want to cover those. The really cool thing about all of this is that the NFL has said that they're using the UFL as kind of a testing ground to test new rules before they end up trying to get them approved for the NFL, which has to be one of the best ideas the NFL's had in a really long time. We all know that NFL fans don't like change, so testing these kind of rules in a low-risk environment like the UFL before they make their way to the league makes a whole lot of sense. Let me know down in the comments which rules you would steal or wouldn't steal, and let me know if you'll be tuning into the UFL this season as well. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy one of my other videos which I've put on screen. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.